As a boss, as a teacher, or as an instructional coach, you might have wondered how honest you should be when giving feedback. So I'd like to take a closer look at a model that Kim Scott developed, and that is presented in her book, Radical Candor. Her basic notion is that when someone screws up, it is our moral obligation to criticize them. So there's one thing you need to know, that is when she talks about we or our, she means being a good boss, because that is what she refers to. But I think we can still apply her notion to teaching and to instructional coaching. So let's take a closer look. In her model, she presents 4 quadrants, depending on how much you care personally, that is on this axis, and how directly you challenge the other person. So let's take a look. Here you've got the 2 first quadrants, that is the manipulative insincerity and obnoxious aggression. What does that mean? Manipulative insincerity means that you don't care personally and you're not direct at all, which means you could be saying something like, even you got that right. After which no one is any the wiser, really. So when you look at obnoxious aggression, she frequently refers to the sentence uttered by Steve Jobs that was, your work is shit, which meant that he cared very little personally, but what he said was direct and quite frank. Then in the 3rd quadrant, there is ruinous empathy, which means that the feedback giver does care personally, but is still in his or her feedback very opaque and not particularly direct. It might be a lengthy explanation of what went wrong, after which no one really knows what was said, or it could be some sort of abstract term that is used here, not really saying what the problem actually was. And then obviously there's the 4th quadrant, and that is radical candor, according to Kim Scott, the sweet spot. So how do you get there? How do you get to be very direct but still care personally? What do you need to do? Her advice is this: as an instructional coach, as a teacher, or as a boss, remember to be humble, to find out what motivates the other person, show them that you care, and ask them what you can do to help them grow or learn, and ask for feedback first. And most importantly, act on that feedback. So this is her theory, and it might be used for reflection. That is, think about where you are in this model in different feedback conversations. Does it depend on whether you speak to men or women? And where do you want the feedback giver to be when you are on the receiving end of feedback?